Hello there and welcome to VGC. My name's Chris Scullion and this is my review of Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe on Nintendo Switch. Kirby has never been more popular than right now. Last year's Kirby in the Forgotten Land is already the Pink Blob's best selling game ever, but as enjoyable as that 3D adventure was, Kirby fans knew in their heart that its true home was side-scrolling 2D platforming, and this latest offering is further evidence why that's the case. I say latest in inverted commas because Return to Dreamland Deluxe isn't a completely new game. It's a remake of a somewhat underrated Wii title released back in 2011. More than a decade may have passed since the game was originally released, but solid gameplay is timeless, and it turns out a fresh lick of paint is all that's needed for what's still an entertaining adventure. If you missed out the first time around, Kirby's Return to Dreamland tells the story of Magolor, an alien whose starship, the Lore Starcutter, crashes on Kirby's planet Popstar. Magolor says he'll take Kirby and his pals on a trip to his home planet Halcandra if they can help him recover the scattered broken pieces of his ship. There may be more to it than that, but that would be telling. Cue your typical Kirby platforming shenanigans then, as players make their way through 7 worlds floating around, inhaling enemies and stealing their powers. The most obvious difference to those who played the Wii version is the jump in visual detail. At first glance it may appear to be a straight remaster, but put the game side by side with the original and it's clearly something far more substantial than a basic upscale job. The scenery has been recreated in more detail for starters. There are also a few new additions to the game that weren't in the Wii version, including a couple of new abilities. One of these, the mech suit, makes its debut here and may actually be our favourite Kirby ability ever, such as the ridiculous way it powers up his flying and offensive capabilities. In many ways, Return to Dreamland Deluxe is exactly what's expected from a game in this series. The main story mode poses very little challenge for platformer veterans who'd beat the game with 78 lives remaining. But from the first Game Boy title back in 1992, the series has always been created with newcomers in mind, both to Kirby and the genre in general. As such, the story mode is a perfect entry point for younger players. If you're a parent looking for something that's forgiving enough to avoid too much frustration in the early stages, this is absolutely it. This is further enforced by the fact the story can be played through by up to 4 players simultaneously, with King Dedede, Meta Knight and Bandana Waddle Dee making up the numbers should they be needed. This makes it an ideal title for parents, children and siblings to play together. It isn't absolutely perfect. By the time you reach the credits you'll have experienced a degree of repetition, most notably in the way many stages have a hidden wormhole section where you outrun a moving void then face a mini-boss called the Sphere Doomer. This happens about 15 times throughout the main story mode, and while the Void section and Spear Doomer fight change each time, it can still feel like you're going through the same motions a lot. It's not a deal breaker by any means because these sections are still fun, but the lack of variety is a tad disappointing. In terms of the easy difficulty, those looking for more of a challenge, or any challenge at all, will be served by the game's numerous other modes, most of which are unlocked once story mode is beaten. Extra mode is a more challenging version of the main game with various tweaks and secrets thrown in to keep it interesting, while Arena mode offers a series of boss fights that have to be beaten sequentially. With all this taken into account, as well as some extra secrets we won't reveal here, there absolutely still is some challenge to be found for more experienced players. They just have to put in the 7 or 8 hours needed to beat the main story first. As for those who own the Wii version and are wondering what's different, there are 2 new modes created just for the Switch version, including a post-game mode called Magolor Epilogue the Interdimensional Traveller. In much the same way as Bowser's Fury was bolted onto the Switch port of Super Mario 3D World and offered players a different take on Mario gameplay, Magolor Epilogue is a reasonably sized, entirely new adventure with different mechanics to the main adventure. Here players take control of Magolor, who starts off extremely weak. By defeating enemies and collecting the magic points they leave behind, players can then spend these points to upgrade Magolor's abilities, making for more of an RPG-light levelling up process. Also new is Merry Magoland, an amusement park mode where players can choose from a selection of minigames spanning the history of the Kirby series. Each of these minigames has their own set of achievements, and by completing them the player earns tickets which can be used to unlock masks of other Kirby characters. After picking a mask you can put it on and remove it during gameplay, even during the main modes by pressing in the right stick. These masks are a bit of a silly addition, but they made us chuckle, so we're all for it. All this combines for a remake that offers far more than just a simple recreation of everything that was on offer more than a decade ago. There's been real effort made here to make this a more feature-heavy package, something with enough extra content to actually make it worth double dipping if you own the Wii game. As a first game for a younger player or a newcomer looking to get to grips with the platforming genre, there are few better offerings, while those looking for a challenge will eventually get one once they put in the hours to get through the initial story mode. Getting 100% completion in both story and extra mode rinsing the arena battles, earning every ticket in the minigame mode and unlocking every mask will take a hefty time regardless of your skill level, meaning despite its apparent simplicity, there's enough here to get your money's worth. Whether you've played the Wii version or not, this remake offers enough content to keep both newcomers and veterans busy for a while. As a Kirby game, it's fairly typical and doesn't do anything particularly revolutionary, but what it does offer is strong, entertaining platforming.